following contains spoilers for House of the Dragon and William Shakespeare's The Tragedy of Macbeth. Now, you've had 400 years for that one. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble. Double, double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. Scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's mummy maw engulf. By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Both Matt Smith and Gail Rankin are stage actors as well as film actors. This may explain why the scenes between Daemon Targaryen and Alice Rivers have such a theatrical feel to them. When it comes to the source material of A Song of Ice and Fire, historical, literary, musical, and mythological inspirations are all too common, but with the TV show, it becomes a tad bit less common, which is why the theatrical inspirations between House of the Dragon's lore regarding Daemon's time at Harrenhal have stuck out to me like a pricked thumb. Daemon's character arc goes through a growth not seen in Fire and Blood, where his time spent at Harrenhal is largely glossed over, taking a back seat while focus shifts to other areas of the ever-growing war. The reasons for this stem from the fact that a TV production is not going to let an actor like Matt Smith take a back seat. You gotta justify the paycheck that man gets, after all. But also one to show the growth of Daemon from a selfish, underhanded, and self-aggrandizing dragon lord into a soldier championing the cause of his wife and queen, after coming to see what truly matters in the long run. It is a necessary, humbling act for Daemon, one where he learns that he is but a piece in a much greater game, one whose view that might makes right is not a universal solution, not when the participation of others is needed to further his cause, and one where Daemon learns to make concession and compromise in order to gather the strength and allegiance of the River Lords. Throughout his time at Harrenhal, Daemon drifts in and out of dreams, showing past regrets and mistakes, coupled with sounds on the wind of whispers and screams.
And in times like this... Did you hear something?
This place will have you barking at the moon.
These waking nightmares seem to be a result of the ghosts of Harrenhal, the once great castle built on blood and death, and burned by his ancestor Aegon the Conqueror, as well as the influence of the bastard-born healer, Alice Rivers.
You will die in this place.
Two of the biggest theatrical inspirations in House of the Dragon's Harrenhal arc are the William Shakespeare play Macbeth and the Greek tragedy of Oedipus Rex, written by Sophocles. Both plays involve the fulfillment of prophecy as the major plot driver, though the ways the main characters of each play respond to these prophecies differ. While Macbeth does all he can to ensure the prophecy laid out before him comes to fruition, that he will be King of Scotland, he also tries to prevent certain other components of it from happening. While his actions do inevitably lead him to the throne, the bloodshed, treachery, and loss he suffers in order to get there prevent any sort of happiness or joy in rule. Instead, Macbeth is fueled on by a gripping paranoia, one that inevitably leads to the loss of his friends, his wife, his allies, and supporters. Oedipus tries all he can to prevent the prophecy that he was given, that he will kill his father and marry his mother, from ever happening. But, despite all of his actions being made to prevent this, the outcome is inevitable, as if fate itself is binding the threads to make it so. Fitting as the Weyward Sisters, the three witches who deliver Macbeth's prophecy onto him are inspired by the Fates and the Norns of Greek and Nordic myth respectively, and it is from the Weyward Sisters that the show draws its own inspiration in crafting the Weirwood witch, Alice Rivers. Much like everything A Song of Ice and Fire related, the inspirations are not a carbon copy, but instead use certain elements, make some changes, slightly tweak and alter events, and weaves them all together to create a new story. As such, Alice Rivers does not come across as clearly malevolent in her dealings with Daemon in the way the Weyward Sisters do with Macbeth, nor does the prophecy of Oedipus directly affect Daemon, but instead are an illustration of Daemon's mistakes in regards to his nephew Aemond. While Daemon's dream where he is having sex with his mother definitely shows an Oedipus complex, one that would leave Sigmund Freud himself bewildered, such a complex is even more pronounced in Aemond One-Eye, who far surpasses Daemon in the mommy issues category. Daemon's dream where he sees himself as Aemond reflects his failure as an uncle and as a role model. Aemond, in his pursuits, has been following a sort of what would Daemon do trajectory, and have led to Aemond learning all the wrong lessons from his uncle. No matter what anger or hurt he felt from his brother Viserys, Daemon would never wish to harm him. It is a stark contrast to Aemond, who takes the opportunity at Rook's Rest to burn his brother Aegon, fueled both by ambition and by grievances from past slights. It is also this dream of chasing Aemond that leads Daemon to Alice Rivers. The circumstances behind this chase are largely inspired by Macbeth and his marriage. In the Scottish play, the relationship between Macbeth and his lady wife quickly begins to deteriorate after the murder of King Duncan. Much the same, a huge fracture develops between Daemon and Rhaenyra after the murder of Prince Jaehaerys by blood and cheese. The Macbeth's marriage differs from traditional Renaissance marriages in that Lady Macbeth is given equal status to her husband. However, when Macbeth becomes king, he asserts Renaissance masculinity, which views a husband as superior to his wife. This transforms their equal partnership into an unequal marriage. For Daemon's marriage, his role as prince and king consort placed him in a lesser role than that of his niece wife, Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. A position he begins to chafe at, and which will lead to even more deterioration of their marriage when he leaves for Harrenhal. It is when Macbeth is at this low point, his marriage and relationship strained, that he intrudes on the wayward witches, demanding to know the validity of their prophecy. The witches, in turn, summon a myriad of apparitions to answer his questions. This scene can be roughly divided into three: the witches' casting of a spell, the supernatural answers to Macbeth's demands, and Macbeth's return to the cold world of political and social reality. All of the same can be said for Daemon, as he follows the Aemond-dressed apparition and then stumbles upon Alice Rivers in her apothecary kitchen. Alice makes mention of Daemon's marriage being on the rocks, and the circumstances of his being at Harrenhal, all of which are a mark of a low point for Daemon. His pursuit of uniting the River Lords through whatever means necessary will only serve to further the bloodshed. Alice Rivers presents Daemon with what seems to be a tea brewed from weirwood leaves, assuring him that it will help him sleep. This drink leads to even more vivid dreams, even during his waking hours. The dreams Daemon experiences at Harrenhal mirror the apparitions conjured by the Weyward Sisters, though the intent of the dreams differ from the intent of the apparitions seen by Macbeth. While Macbeth's interpretation of the visions solidify his assurance in maintaining the throne, Daemon's visions cast more a shadow of regret on past actions and relationships. Macbeth's visions spur him on in his dark desires, while Daemon's are meant more to turn him away from that path. Daemon's story takes elements of Macbeth in constructing his growth, but they do not make him a perfect copy of Macbeth, but rather a foil to him. The actions of Alice Rivers and the visions bestowed by her seem more to be pushing Daemon away from the path of tyranny, and to embrace his role not as king, but as a piece in something far greater than himself. This change from Macbeth's prophecy then weaves itself into the story's own prophetic creation, that of Aegon's dream and the Song of Ice and Fire. While Macbeth's interpretation of the witch's vision will lead him towards the path of ruin, Daemon's final vision leads to him reaffirming his commitment to Rhaenyra, seeing her as the one best to lead them through the events to come. Whether this interpretation will lead to success remains to be seen. While Daemon's character lifts elements from Macbeth the actual trajectory his story takes tends to mirror that of another character. It is not only Macbeth that receives a prophecy from the Weyward Sisters, after all. Another general in King Duncan's army, Banquo, is also told of his future, a future in which he himself will not be king, but that he will father a line of kings. Lesser than Macbeth and greater, not so happy, yet much happier. Thou shalt get kings, though thou be none. So all hell, Macbeth and Banquo. While Daemon himself would never become king, it is his son Aegon, crowned Aegon III, who will sit the throne, followed by his sons, and then his brother, Daemon's other son, and his sons and grandsons, and so on. In fact, from the end of the dance until Robert's rebellion when the Targaryen dynasty is overthrown, every sitting king will come directly from the line of Daemon and Rhaenyra. Every Targaryen thereafter, from the Blackfyre pretenders to Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen, all come from the line of Daemon and Rhaenyra. As for the more malevolent aspects of Macbeth's character, those, as well as a mix of Oedipus, seem likely to be placed more upon Aemond One-Eye in the events to come. Aemond will eventually have his own stay at Harrenhal, his own experience with Alice Rivers, and with aspects of Macbeth and Oedipus already set in his character as much if not more than Daemon, there is much to play in crafting his story moving forward. Could Aemond have visions of his own? Will he come to know of Aegon's dream? He has the dagger now, after all. Or will his upcoming story be more characterized by his darker ambitions? For those who have read Fire and Blood and know the outcome for all these characters, Aegon's prophecy seems to be more a thing to be lost and forgotten than anything. Daemon, Aemond, Rhaenyra, Aegon, all will perish before the dance comes to an end. For what the war meant, the succession, the throne, the prophecy, the death of dragons, and what should ultimately have been the greatest weapon against the coming long night, I leave you with this. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, creeps in this pretty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. When shall we three meet again, in thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won, there will be ere the set of sun. Where the place? Upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. The idea for this video was inspired by the wonderful Grey Area, whose channel you can find linked in the video description. That's all for this time. I'll see you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and comment, all the things that make the YouTube algorithm happy. I'll be back with more videos. Until then, support your local library.